Hey everyone, this is one of a collection of videos that I'm doing to help you perform to your max in World of Warcraft. Today we're going over specifically the importance of key binding and movement. So let's start with the basics. Everyone knows that WASD moves your character. What people don't know, unless you come from another MMO, right click can actually turn your character. This can be extremely useful. So rather than keyboard turning, you can just move your mouse and endlessly steer your character. Now, the only thing that'll stop you from doing this is having to click your abilities. If you are a clicker, if you're new to the game, or you learn the game via clicking, it's very easy, but it's daunting to learn how to do keybinds. The best thing you could do is set up keybinds and just practice them for a month or two and just don't switch. Just force yourself because you'll thank yourself later. The other thing that people don't know is you can actually turn your character around instantly by just clicking both mouse buttons. You can actually move with both mouse buttons and keeping your left hand free theoretically, or right hand depending on if you're left-handed, blah blah blah. But what keybinds and movement's going to do is boost your reaction time and avoid mouse travel time. So mouse travel time is if you are trying to target and you say you're having a hard time tab targeting and there's 3 different mobs and one of them's casting, you're going to need to bring your mouse up and click that bar because you're going to see the cast bar. Then you're going to have to come all the way back down to your interrupt. And if you can do it, God bless you. Like Godspeed. But the best thing that you can do is just to put everything on a keybind. Your reaction time, you could already have your fingers ready to hit the keybind for the interrupt the moment you click the target. And then you can leave your mouse on this upper half of the screen. If you needed to battle res someone, you can have the battle res on a keybind and already be reaching for the raid frame and be clicking the person that you need to battle res. There's just so many useful tips about boosting reaction time just using keybinds alone, not to mention the whole right click turn. If you're a melee, this can also be casters. So if you're casting, so I'm going to use a heal as an example, and I'm right clicking and then just using flash. I can just stay on my target. If I was casting Frostbolt or Firebolt or something, you could stay on your target. No matter how fast that rogue's running around you, they're never going to break line of sight and stop your cast. The next thing is going to be melee. If you can literally right click and fixate on this target, and then you just use your keybinds to do all the work. Like let your fingers do the work and let your eyes stay in the center of the screen. Like see how quickly I was able to just dodge that literal eye um by just moving to the side like extremely quickly. Just right click and strafe, like you can turn your mouse and just you basically lock on. Nobody can get away from you when you have movement like that. Your uptime, especially melee uptime, like using that is going to be extremely good, and that's going to make or break certain DPS. If your reaction time is poor and your melee time's not there, or you get cast broke occasionally, these are things that are just going to reflect on the damage meter, and it's going to hurt you overall. It lets you focus on the middle of the screen rather than on your abilities. And it is going to be daunting at times. I would say set up the keybinds and practice them and just make yourself use them. After a month or two, it will be the new norm and you can just use it on every character you have. So my keybinds, what I like to use, you can You can do this without a Naga or a Corsair or a Logitech, but I would recommend getting a mouse that has 12 buttons. So if you look at my keybinds, I have This is my mouse. It's literally set up the same 3x4 as my Razer Naga. This is exactly how the abilities are laid out on my Naga, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc. So if I glance down and if I know I'm pressing Crusader Strike, I know I can go down one to press Wake of Ashes. And I set it up to learn that way, and it's like hand-eye coordination at that point. You know, it's not like it can be a little weird if you have a whole bar, and you can program bartender to set up your bars like this if you want to use bartender, if you want to use domino, if you want to use this is the Razer program. Wrong add-on. Go away. So I have bar 1, 2, 3, 4. And I copy this profile to every one of my characters. So this is my mouse. This is a 3x4 of my mouse again. Everything on this is shift. If I'm using macros or PvP trinkets or potions, that's where I usually put it because it's right. Most of these abilities I need right behind my core set of abilities for my rotation. And then these two bars are my keyboard. So these first two aren't used. I have shift space and then I have shift in everything on my keyboard all the way over to U and M. Now I don't reach that far. You can tell I only use a certain number over here, but it's mainly for utility. And like every character I use has rebuke or the interrupt on shift Z. I keep it the same for a reason. No matter what character I log into, if it's a monk, paladin, warrior, demon hunter, if it has an interrupt, it's going on that keybind. Why? Because why would you ever make it more confusing on yourself? You can the biggest thing you can do um the biggest thing you could do is not use character specific keybinds. So if you don't use character specific keybinds, this bar one, 2, 3, and 4 will be the same. So if you use Razer or you use Domino or anything, you keybind those bars 1, 2, 3, and 4 and set them up exactly how you need to. The keybinds will stay the same for each character because those bars will be keybind that, and then you move them. You can copy the profiles on each character. So you can immediately have the same setup. You get used to one set of keybinds across 12 characters. Now that sounds like a lot. You may not play that many characters. But regardless, having unity between your keybinds will just make your playtime experience much more enjoyable. Once you learn it, your reaction time goes up, and it comes down to you can put more focus on the content than what's going on down here. That's the biggest thing that I could say. It's all about keybinds and movement. If you if you're not mastering your keybinds and movement, your reaction time will hurt. You may get used to keyboard turning, you may get used to clicking, but I can reassure you that no matter what, if you forced yourself into keybinds and got used to it, you would have significantly better reaction time across the board. Better uptime on your spells, always be ready to do the abilities that you need to do, whether it be like a battle res, whether it be like targeting and switching and interrupting, because you may be in a situation where there could be like a 3 second situation where you need to interrupt one but then stun another. Like if you need to interrupt the caster and then stun the range to stop the power shot while you're focusing like the first target, like that needs to be done very quickly. And the only instead of going up and down or um trying to rely on tab targeting, you're not going to want to do that. It just practice, set it up, force yourself to use it, and after a couple months, you can just build from there. Start small. Start with like a one bar and doing 1 through 12, however you want it set up if you have a mouse. Or start with the keyboard side and do shift and just like that 9 block right there and shift space. And as you learn, because you can move and then you can hold shift, and I do this while using control as my main push to talk because I just shift my hand. You can press control, then you can press shift with your ring finger and then continue popping any utilities that you need to while speaking. Like, this sounds ridiculous, but when you use it for months or years on end, it just becomes the new norm. So that, I think that covers everything for keybinds and movements. If you think I forgot anything, leave a comment below. Um, if you remember anything that I may have forgotten, uh, definitely like and subscribe. Let me know what you thought of this video in a comment below, and I'll see you next time.